Hello, I'm Rick Schultz and welcome back to another episode of Audiophile. We're with high fidelity cables and we just love to share cool things that make music sound better. Anything that might just help you out to be able to get better, cleaner, clearer sounding music, we're all about that. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you today was the full CD treatment. I went through the edge treatment with the black marker where you've seen the Sharpie pen, and this is the oil-based one that we showed you on the last episodes that we did. And today I came across, after doing some research, some stuff I wanted to show you. This is one of the things that got the whole thing started. Now this is a Posca, P-O-S-C-A, and it's Uni Posca green pen. You can find them on Amazon for about $8.99. They used to be private labeled and were used to sell for somewhere around 25 bucks if I have on my facts correct, which I may not. But this is a pen that was used in order to be able to reflect the red light back into blue light, so anything that came off the edges of refraction would come back in the blue light range and give you a signal that couldn't be picked up by your laser. Okay, so basically the idea behind this is that they would pretty dramatically lower distortion, and that was better than black. Now I'm not sure actually if it is better than black because I haven't done an actual A/B test. I'd actually need to buy a couple of different CDs that were exactly the same, do one in black, do one in green, and find out. And maybe I'll do that in another episode. However, today, while I was searching through for this green Posca pen and purchased it, I found something that I thought was cool, and I decided I would give it a try, and that is a fluorescent green Posca pen. Now the fluorescent green Posca pen sells for a little more money, but I thought it was worth the investment because of the luminescence that it has behind it. I thought maybe that would help out somewhat. Again, I haven't done actual A/B testing. It'd be really fun for you guys to do, and let's face it, this is just not a lot of money that's involved in this. If you do one of these green pens and you don't like as much as a black pen, just take the black pen and go over the outside of the rim. You won't have any issues whatsoever. It'll be just as if it was done originally in the black pen. But I do believe that these actually are going to provide a benefit. So what I want to do with the full treatment of CDs is introduce you to also a product called Essence of Music. Now Essence of Music is a unique product that is designed to help improve the refraction off of the layer that's below the actual disc layer itself. So there's a piece of polycarbonate that sits between the foil on the disc and the laser itself, and that's the bottom of your CD. So if you take a look at the bottom of your CD, it looks nice and shiny and pretty much perfect, but it's not. It's filled with grooves and canyons and pits that, although you can't see them, are actually there. So what Essence of Music has done is they've made a formula that goes in and basically fills those areas in and causes your CD to be able to have a much greater accuracy. And I tell you, this stuff works. It works really, really well, and I highly recommend it. Now, the regular standard kit is about 150 bucks, and I can't remember exactly how many CDs it does, but it does quite a few of them. And then there's a Pro kit, which you'll eventually get into because it just makes a whole lot of sense, and that sells for $300, and it does hundreds of discs. So I'm going to start with the bottle number 1. There's bottle number 2 and there's bottle number 1. Bottle number 1 is basically the formula that gives you the optical clarity on your disc. It's the one that goes in and actually fills the pits, the grooves, the valleys that is laying on the polycarbonate. And I'm going to, in order to apply it, about 5 inches in distance from the actual CD player, CD itself, and I'm going to give it a spray. And you know what? I think 1 is all we need. So if you get a good thorough shot, you don't need to worry about trying to put on a whole bunch more because it's just not going to help you and it's going to waste some of the product. You'll be able to do more CDs if you do less sprays. However, you want to make sure there's enough on there, and let's face it, this stuff is not super expensive considering what it costs. It's just pennies a disc. So I'm going to go ahead and rub this with my finger all across the edge, just always from inside to out, they say. So I'm following that rule, as if you're kind of cleaning it with a cloth, but what you're really doing here is you're spreading it across your disc. Now there's a little finger glove included in the disc, as well as a label that you can put on afterwards to be able to know, yes, I've treated this particular disc with Essence of Music, and I don't have to worry about having any chemical on my finger. Does the finger glove do a better job? Well, they recommend that maybe it does. So I'd recommend using the finger glove. I didn't bother to pull mine out here today, so I'm just going ahead and doing it by hand, literally. And we've got a nice thorough coverage all over the edge of the disc. What do you do next? Well, you simply wipe it off. So I've wiped off with the little gray cloth that's supplied on the kit. I've wiped off all of my step 1. Now you don't have to worry about being real thorough with this particular step because you're going to be doing it again. And step number 2 actually works with step number 1. It helps to be able to give you a nice clean surface when you're finished. And it helps to be able to set up step number 1. So we're going to be able to take this and spray it on as well. I also feel like I got enough material on with one shot. About 5 to 6 inches typically away from the disc. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just rubbing it from inside to outside. I'm going back and forth, as you can obviously tell. But I'm rubbing the material all over the surface of the disc. If you feel you don't have enough material on there, just go ahead and give it another shot. But I found with just one shot I had plenty. So I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to take the blue cloth this time, that's supplied again with your kit, and I'm going through and taking off all of the Essence of Music that I have put on. The second stuff is kind of like soap when you put it on. You'll notice that it bubbles up and stuff. The first type is obviously some type of oil that goes on. Now, when you're finished with it, the optical clarity to me seems better already. Just looking at the disc and seeing how reflective it is and the kind of image I get back, I think I notice a difference. However, it's really the sound that makes a difference. Whether you think you can see it or not is absolutely beside the point. I have heard Essence of Music, and hundreds of other people have. It's a rave product. This is a really good material. This is something that every audiophile that owns CDs should have and use. And basically what it does is makes your sound cleaner, clearer, gives you better imaging, sound staging, takes off a little bit of harshness of the disc, just really overall improves the disc. So we're going to go to step number 2. Now, step number 2 in order to preparing a disc is to use the Uniposhka mark. Now, if you feel that you've got some of this material on the outside edge, you can take your blue cloth and just go on the outside edge and give it a nice wipe, because that oil-based material obviously wouldn't work really well with what we're doing here with the Uniposhka. We want to make sure that it stays in place. So I'm just giving the outside and inside edge of the CD a bit of a cleaning with my blue cloth once again to take off any excess material that I've laid around. Now, these cloths should be washed quite regularly. Go ahead, just use them in a regular washer with a little bit of detergent and they'll come out perfect. Grabbing the Uniposhka pen, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can take your pen, set it on something like this, and go around it like this. Or you can just grab your disc and spin it on your finger, which is the way I started and the way I find is easiest for me. I'm basically holding the disc with the outside finger here, so I can kind of push it towards, and I'm just curling my finger on the inside so it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm giving it a nice shot, and I'm actually going around the disc 2 times because I want to take any part that wasn't filled with the first passover, and I want to try to get it with the second passover. So I've done 2 rotations of the disc there. I'll put that aside for just a second. I'm going to grab it on the very inside edge, outside of where the disc plays, and I'm going to do the inside edge. In order to do that, you just put your pen in the middle and circle it around. It's really not that complicated. And then I'll do the top again. I didn't do that on the bottom where I did the top and the bottom. It's kind of necessary to get thorough coverage to do that on the inside edge. Okay, so we've got that done. Now, some of your CDs are going to have a little bit of a ring just outside, about a quarter to a half an inch, no, an eighth to a half an inch outside. It's really about a quarter inch, but not that it matters at all. A little ring that sits outside of your center hole. And if you notice that on the top, that actually has a bit of an indentation in it. So Uniposhka also makes a fine pen, and you can fill that little indentation. Just basically set it down on something like my cup here, which I'm using to let my disc dry, and just take your Uniposhka pen, put it in that little groove, and follow the groove all the way around, and you may get even better improvements. So that basically is a full CD treatment. Again, in the past we used the oil-based marker. We've got the green marker that came from Uniposhka. We've got the fluorescent green marker from Uniposhka. And then we've got the little fine point for those CDs that have that little disc on or rim on the inside. Comparing these would be a lot of fun. We may not do that on a future episode. However, for today, we're just betting on the fact that this makes the most amount of sense of nice fluorescent green pen. You can find it again on Amazon. It really does make a huge difference in the sound of your discs. And I'm Rick Schultz. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Audiophile.